Feel the hand of what's going down. Don't you run much hide. You're gonna be found now, don't you know? Well, now that it's coming your way again, and can't you feel the hand of what's going down now, don't you know? One night. Feel the hand of what's going down. Don't you run, don't you hide. Cause you're gonna be found now, don't you know? Well, now that it's coming your way again, and can't you feel the hand of what's going down now, don't you know? One now that it's coming your way again, and can't you feel the hand of what's going down? You called me on the phone, no, I wasn't home. You told me one thing, I knew another. You told me lies, cause you always wanna see me cry. And now I know that you never come home again. When don't you know? One now that it's coming your way again, and can't you feel the hand? What's going down? Oh yeah. Oh, what's going down? Oh, what's going down? Oh, what's going One night, don't you know? One night that is coming your way again, and can't you feel the hand? What's going down now, don't you know? One night that's coming your way again, and can't you feel the hand? What's going down? Oh yeah. What's going down? Oh, what's going down? Oh, what's going down?
Like I said, pop pills and they go places. I know people, it's your neurobiological structure that will prevent you from tapping in, third eye, turning on, and being able to tap into being able to even stand in a room with a fucking superhuman. Okay? So you have to remember, they're on what? Brain enhancement drugs. You're on brain destroying drugs. They're on uppers. You're on downers. And even in that, you're still able to tap into some shit. Because I know niggas that be drinking lean and they be having all kind of premonitions. I know dudes that pop pills and they go places. I know people that are on, I know people that did the LSD. Somebody told me today. It was like, yeah, I take that LSD and I go in. I'm like, damn, you niggas that do anything to get there. Yeah, no, but that's the culture. Hold on. Remember, we have new generations. Every generation has a title. Every generation is different. I belong to the super predator generation. These niggas are the dope fiend generation. There's a new generation called the dope fiend generation.
Right, and that shit is flooded in hip hop.
Okay.
So no, let me ask you. What year was Big L murdered? What year he got popped?
Big L?
Big L.
Remember, all the bigs died. Big Pun, Big Papa, Big L. Okay? Big L died, I believe. Don't quote me, man.
Yeah, don't quote.
It might be 90s. I don't know the year. The mural is, yeah.
Are you, did you hear? That
99.
They just killed.
I know, they just bodied him.
They just bodied the dude who killed Big L.
Yeah.
In
Karma caught up to
39th, 139th Street.
Yeah. That's how that shit works.
Yeah, they just got him, man. They bodied him.
That's how it works. That's how it works. You know what I'm saying? You know, this is a movie. This is a cycle. Everything has cause and effect. If you're able to apply simple things like the Hermetic laws,
said 99.
I said 99. Got taken out. Now, keep in mind, when we're talking about the flow, people, we're talking about the fact that due to their flow, you was going into your flow. You know what I'm talking about. You know when you put on those headphones and you listen to your favorite playlist, it doesn't matter if you don't like Biggie. If that's what it is, you don't have to like Biggie. I'm not saying that. If you listen to me and because I rocked with Biggie and I understood what he represented and all of these other things, and I couldn't escape the fact that I was a teenager and I was a part of the culture. What you want me to do? Denounce myself? Huh? Those lyrics that he was spitting, we went and lived that. You got to remember, it's not the rappers become legends because the people who are listening to their music, they carry out the tradition. Like Brooklyn became Jay-Z, and that whole Brooklyn wave started from people in the clubs in Brooklyn. Real Brooklyn people do. Big L had Harlem popping, and Harlem went and took that shit outside the day. They made the legend of Big L bigger than him just being on Yo MTV Raps. They're the ones who came into your town, and they like, nigga, we here. You listen to them, they playing Big L. Brooklyn niggas take over your town or come through, and they was playing Pac, they was playing Biggie, they was playing Jay. So you attribute it to them because the music is the soundtrack and it's related to us. We're intricately tied into it. So it will be hard. I understand how it will be hard for one of our people that are teachers, you know what I mean, or master students or master teachers to be around a rapper or come amongst a rapper and not have another kind of feeling of adoration, you know what I mean, and being able to look at them and celebrity-wise or in a celebratory way because these people are responsible for memories that these people may be, you know what I mean, holding on to. So they like, damn. I remember Grand Pooba pulled up on me the other day at the juice bar. Me and Grand Pooba chilling. Grand Pooba's telling me about my lectures. But I'm like, Grand Pooba, when I was young, like Grand Pooba was that, when I say Grand Pooba was that dude, the same way that I said it about Kane, because you might not realize that because different eras bring different kind of people that's popping. You know, it's like a stock market. But Grand Pooba dictated fashion. He was a cultural icon. He was a trendsetter in his days. And he had bars. Facts. So I'm like, yo, this is crazy. This is the person that, you know, I'm like,
I'm looking up to you now.
Yeah. So it's called reciprocation. Is being able to measure yourself in the cycle of life. Now I really feel complete. I know at 40, like I said, master age, you have to reach here. Okay, you don't qualify until you get here. And that's a fact. I didn't say that. I didn't make that up. It's in what, 1 million fucking philosophies? Everybody says that for a reason because something happens. Something comes about. Something evolves. You evolve. You're the proverbial butterfly or you're the proverbial phoenix. So like I said about our people who are butterflies, we are caterpillars. We go through a caterpillar phase, meaning that all of us went through a dark phase. All of us went through an underworld phase. All of us went through a phase where our lower self was in control. All of us was listening to Bone Thugs and Harmony. We was listening to Nuck If You Buck. We was running around listening to Gucci Man. We was running around and listening to all of that stuff, because what does the music represent? The music is harmonics, is tones. So it represents frequencies. Going back to what I was saying about the signs. So different people of different signs have different frequencies. So in order for this shit to really be true, the lower self, or that lower frequency, has to exist. You can't shoo it away. You can't puritanical it away. You can't, I'm upset what's going on. No, it exists, because we're on a planet, in a plane right now, where all things exist. All I'm asking is, where's the niggas, where's the Nagas or the Negus? I know where the niggas are at. Where the Nagas at that upper echelon? Where the peoples who birth sign said that they supposed to create monumental stuff, rather than the people who are doing the dark things. They're abiding by their energy. My question is, are you abiding by your energy? Huh? Are you abiding by that energy?
I want you to talk about this, and I hope you know about it. Talk to us about the prison systems. That's I think they shutting down or some shit like that in Attica.
Oh, the strike.
Yeah, the strike. Talk about the strike.
All right, prison. When we say prison, we say the loss of freedom. Okay? When we say the loss of freedom, we mean that takes place in one's life that can qualify as being the most traumatic experience, or one of the most traumatic experiences in one's life, right? If someone takes your freedom from you, meaning that your freedom is now restricted, meaning that you're placed in a situation where you can no longer freely do the things that you want to do, because people are running around saying, yo, we's not free, we's not free. Our people are slaves on this planet. You know, we on these plantations, but I can't take it. You know, all of this, chattel talk. There are really people who are really not free on a real level, not subjectively, not in a subjective way. You know what I mean? Not in a theoretical way. They really don't have their freedom. So if they wanted to go to the store to get something to eat, they can't do it. If they wanted to put their baby to sleep at night, they cannot do that. If they wanted to go ahead and just say, you know what, I'm going to change the quality of my life. I want to go ahead and start my own business as an entrepreneur. Matter of fact, I want to be a social entrepreneur. I want to help out people in my neighborhood. I want to become a person who passes around paintbrushes, so these niggas who be on the corner not doing everything all day can actually go and paint the hood and not rely on white fucking yuppies to come in their neighborhood and paint it, and then they would call it gentrified and agree to paying $1,000 more rent, you retards. You know what I'm saying? And you would do something like that. You can't even do that because your freedom. So when your freedom is restricted in this life or this reality, it's almost akin to being in a box.
You got to get permission to take a shower.
It's almost akin to being on a plantation. It's almost akin to being a slave. How many people saw Nat Turner and shit like that? Sam is the overseer, or Sam is the CEO, or Sam is the nigga with the keys. His sister is the other CO, okay? The other brother, right, is one of your other inmates. Jethro, the nigga who whipped the shit out of him, he's the CO who basically comes in on Tuesdays and Fridays and knocks niggas out. You know what I mean? His shift is 8 hours and 8 niggas get knocked out. People like that. You know what I mean? Like when I was up north, there was Iceman. They said Iceman put niggas on ice. So there are people who are part of our generation who are victims of being, I'm not going to say victims. I'm not going to say victims because we signed up for this. I'm not going to say victims. What I'm going to say is these are examples in our community of brothers who have succumbed to the policies that were put forth and the influence of their lower self, or making wrong choices in life, being part of a culture or members of a culture that encourage death, meaning that you belong to a death culture. Brother Red Pill, what are you talking about? I'm saying that hip hop in its functionality, especially now, the state of hip hop right now could be identified as a death culture. Why do you say that? Because they promote death. What is death? Death is homosexuality. Right. Why is homosexuality death? Homosexuality is death because if a man puts if he spends his whole life putting his phallus into feces inside of an anal cavity, he could produce nothing. Multiply that by every man on the planet, this planet would just be dead. If every animal did that, everything would decay. It's called species terminus. So we're living in a time where the species are beginning to terminate themselves. Maybe some of these bloodlines need to stop procreating. I'm not a fucking, I'm not against that. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to stock, creed, pedigree, and these other things that I'm talking about. We're coming into a new era and a new age. The frequencies on the planet are rising. Young Pharaoh does an excellent job giving you information dealing with that topic. You know what I'm saying? So as a result of that, certain species or certain bloodlines are not procreating anymore. There's women that are like, yo, I don't want to have kids no more. I'm going to just work. I'm like, go do that. If that's what it is, then you do that. You think what I'm saying? If that's what your spirit and your mind is telling you, well, knock yourself out. You know what I'm saying? There's women running around right now. There's grandmothers that are beginning to become dykes. They're dyking in the grandma era. You know what I mean? At 70 and shit. I'm like, if that's what it takes, if that's how you feel, then that's what you got to do. Because this life is about our spirits coming here for experiences. People be like, nah, brother, you got to save them. Like I said, this is about experience. You reincarnated for a reason. You might be an extra in the movie. You might have a purpose of being a motherfucking anti-hero. Your purpose might be the villain. Your purpose might be Heru. You might be set. You may be all set. You got to figure out your purpose. Okay? Purpose out. People are not living out their purpose, and they're not identifying with their purpose because they're religious and they're other things, and they got jobs and shit. You know what I mean? Or they got white girlfriends that they chasing. So you got to keep in mind that these choices that these men have made and these women have put them in purgatory. Purgatory is the closest thing to death. Purgatory is what the Masons refer to as being buried in a shallow grave. Purgatory is what they said that they'll have Hiram Abiff in perpetually. Purgatory is the dungeon. Like purgatory is those prisons. So our brothers and sisters are beginning to realize that the policies that were put forth by the Nixon administration with the war on poverty, by the policies that were put forth by the Carter administration, Rockefeller drug laws, by the policies, the de facto policies that were put forth by the Clinton administration. Go watch 13. And you spooky ass niggas talking about 13 as a negative number. Astaghfirullah, get out of here. Go watch 13. Because it's going to show you how they went to war against us. Plain and simple. It's cut dry. And you have a Clinton administration coming in. So why can't we have a conversation about the state of hip hop in 2016 when you're about to enter into a new administration of the continuance of a dynasty that went to war against us and perpetuated the war? And all she's talking about is kicking this war off a world war. So the world war, when the world war gets kicked off, then the internal civil war gets kicked off. When the internal civil war gets kicked off, the gender war gets kicked off. All of these wars are taking place simultaneously now. So how can't we have the conversation? Jay-Z is on fucking promo tour for Hillary Clinton.
Whoa.
Huh? She had a meet and greet to meet Pusha Tons. Who's Pusha Tons? Pusha Tons is Pusha T. Hillary campaign, go Google it. Hillary campaign had a meet and greet. If you came out to see her, you had a meet and greet with Pusha T. Pusha T is telling these men who are now rioting or now on a hunger strike, these men are not eating. They don't have substance behind the wall. Our brothers, shout out to Natural Tahuti, the God. They got the gods buried alive. Shout out to my brother Natural Tahuti. Shout out to all of the gods and the goddesses that are behind that wall. You were trapped behind that wall with demons. You were trapped behind that wall with the zombies, like the show, the zombie show that everybody watched. What's that shit? Fear of the Walking Dead. where he bashed their heads in. That is that show is charging race riots. It's charging race soldiers for when the race riots pop off. It's teaching them what to do and how to act. That is a fact. That's the only thing that the Fear of the Walking Dead represents. Okay? You're the zombies. They film it in Georgia for a reason. All right? The Walking Dead. These are the zombies. Okay? These clowns. These are the clowns. All right? All right? How dare you, huh?
Oh,
So even the clown scare that you see taking place all over the place, that's code for them to do what it is that they're preparing to do. Because the instability of what she's cooking up, of what Trump is cooking up, of what Obama's cooking up, of what's being cooked up. And these groveling ass niggas are supporting that. So Jay-Z, Mr. Rockefeller, okay, Mr. Pitching birds out the trunk. You know, he said, I sold the crack so you didn't have to. But there's some people who've listened to my good brother, who is an excellent poet. They listened to the Pied Piper. They've listened to his flute. And if they followed him word for word, verbatim, they are the brothers that are rioting right now. They are the brothers that are in a hunger strike right now. They are the brothers that are saying, black people, help get us out of slavery, family. We need help. We did something wrong, but why are we here for 80 years? How is it a war on drugs and they signing drug dealers to the labels? Talk to me. Huh? Mm-hmm. How is it a war on drugs and all of those brothers got punished and they get 100 years for moving a bird, but they signing drug dealers and Hillary Clinton is doing campaigns with Pusha T. She couldn't do it with Lupe? Huh? She couldn't. Talk to me. Are these niggas in bed with the fucking enemy? Because remember, her policy. I don't want to hear about Bill Clinton. Hillary Clinton was president back in the days.
Go into that. Oh, go ahead.
Hillary Clinton was the president back in the days.
She was called.
She was the brain. She was the brain of Pinky. That nigga's Pinky, and she's the brain. Please be clear.
Just like today, I think Michelle was the fucking president.
Well, if she's the president,
he made good moves, but he made good.
When he make a good move, that's Michelle. Yeah.
Michelle.
Other than that, that's his clone.
Yeah.
Listen, she was the president. Her super predator rhetoric, all right, lines up. It's not about her super predator. Her super predator rhetoric is the shit that got half my generation up north right now. New York has 71 prisons, family. I don't know if you know that. Okay. New York is an island. Rikers Island is an actual island. Everywhere that they got water, they got our people inside of prisons. All right? All of the Fed joints and B More and all these places is near these waters. Okay, so Rikers Island is just a holding jail. One of the most notorious, ruthless jails. I need more water. In America,
Agua.
My post-traumatic, my PTSD or my PSTD, whatever they call it, is the fact that I was 16. No, I was 18, and I did 6 months in C-74 on Rikers Island for a boosting charge where I had nothing to do with it. I just went, I popped up in Queens. It was 20 of us. They locked the whole store up, hit me with the R1, and I did 6 months on the island, and that shit was an eye-opener. You understand? You understand?
So that was your first time when you went in behind the wall.
I got, you get jammed up here and there, but.
And what year was that?
I'm not putting it on. I was on a path to self-destruction.
But what year was that?
That was 93 when I got jammed up.
You got caught up in that motherfucker with the 52 blocks when them niggas was going in.
No. I got caught.
Taking motherfucking sneakers.
Nah. I got caught in the art era.
The art.
The era of painting.
Oh, okay.
When niggas was using razors to paint pictures on faces. You had, I promise you, family, they had Van Gogh. Niggas was called Van Gogh in the joint. Shadow. The nigga named Shadow, he would draw an X on your face when he cut you. I came in the era of the cutters. I came in the era of the razors. I came in the era of the $150s. Look at my face. My face clean. I got a $150 on my arm though, and that came from a brother who we was locked. We grew up together, and we fell out when we was behind. Yeah, we fell out behind the wall, and then when I came home, one of our friends got killed. rest in peace, Ouija, okay? And he got bodied, and then we promised his younger brother that we was gonna protect him. He got bailed out. We was like, yo, don't leave, son, just hold it down. We got this whole shit on lock. You know what I mean? Fight it. You know, he got bailed out, he got bodied by the Decepticons. We promised to protect his brother. I come home, the brother was fighting the younger brother. You know what I mean? And I jumped in, and he tried to cut me in the face, and I blocked it. Then he hit me in the eye. Rest in peace to that brother. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to him. He's no longer with us, but that was crazy. You know what I mean? And
so it was still about the sneakers and shoes.
It was all about, yeah, you was getting robbed. They was taking your sneakers. I'm not gonna lie. I got set up.
So was it the
Hold up.
balls?
Nah, I came in there with a polo hurdle.
Man.
No, we was on polo at that point.
Okay.
Hill figure, polo, all of that. I was the flyest dude in Mod 6. Okay. And I ain't gonna lie. That I was, you know, I was like, yo, I was on point. Because it was very real in there. You know what I'm saying? But it showed me a lot about human psychology. It showed me a lot about the psychology of our enemy. It showed me a lot of the psychology about losing your freedom and being restricted from doing what it is, being a slave at a very early age. Unfortunately, I belong to a culture where we use that as a rites of passage. And because when I came out and when I came back to school, I was that guy. I was bigger than my brother at that point, and they treated me like I was God. You dig what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because I handled my business when I was in there. You know what I mean? It started out a little bit rough, but I definitely, you know, for the first month was kind of rough, and then the rest of the 5 months was beautiful. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying beautiful like I'm trying to romanticize or glorify it, but you're not going to tell me that my experiences in the underworld, I'm a Scorpio, in the underworld is not something. It's a lesson in learning. I wasn't no angel. Yeah, it was a lesson of life. I actually, sometimes people subtly want to go through the Serengeti. If we was in Africa, some niggas would be like, you know what? I want to just go where them lions is at. You understand? I want to go with the spear. You seeing other people come back from the jungle and you like, yo, I could do that. I could take these lions out. You know what I mean? And you say to yourself, if it ever happens, because as black youth, especially in the 80s, especially in the 90s, these niggas are complaining about right now. That's how they putting a mind trick on you. This right now doesn't compare to back then. You can ask these niggas have cognitive dissonance. I think that my generation suffers from a form of amnesia and trauma and Mandela effect because they won't admit that it was realer in the 90s.
Yes.
The police was catching more bodies, I promise you. Heinously. They was throwing dudes off the bridge. Off the roof. They was tying them up in chains. They had dogs eating them.
In the fucking late 80s.
In the late 80s.
They would take your motherfucking dope, tell you to get the fuck out of here, or they will body you.
Their body, yeah.
Put the gun right there in your hand and take your money, your drug money and everything, man.
The war on drugs was real. Remember the whole thing about the whole thing that they're possessing everything that you own. So these niggas are highway robbery you. They pulling you over. They create all of these fake statues, all of these other things. But they started back then. The war on drugs was real. They really went to war with you niggas. And they washed y'all something ridiculously. They got all kind of W's. And you probably got like three W's on your side. But they really scored high when they went to war against the Black Messiahs, and we were on a frequency because we were being manipulated. We were being influenced.
Dirty. They call it the dirty.
The dirty.
Google the 3030 precinct in the 80s.
Yeah.
And that's on 151st Street between Amsterdam and Convent.
Yeah,
Google
shout out
that shit.
And Larry Davis.
Because that's where the motherfucking precinct was at. It was up there with Nicky Barnes. That's where Nicky was at. Google that shit and see what kind of dirt them niggas came up with. Real talk.
Because the underworld and the police have always been intricately related. There's a symbiotic relationship between both underworlds. Okay? They're working in the underworlds. Back then, black men had hundreds and thousands of dollars on their person, okay? 20 fucking racks, oh, you know what I mean? So they had the bag right in their pockets. So back then, they were taking their money. Now, niggas don't have money, they're poor. the majority, a lot of people are impoverished, but now they can kill you and they can imprison you, and they've created a system where they've monetized that. So guess what? You're worth more dead and you're worth more inside of jail. Once they solidified that through that Clinton era and locked that in, it was over. We don't got to kill them no more. Lock them up. If they get out of hand, kill them. So now they have these campaigns. These are fear campaigns that they are basically utilizing social media, mass media, and other things to create stagnation. Because what does fear do? Fear blocks the flow. What does fear do? Fear shuts you down. What does fear do? Fear has Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, right? Yeah. Shaq, Lil Wayne, Fat Joe, The Game, and a few other people saying all lives matter. Floyd Mayweather, they're saying all lives matter. They're saying stop talking bad down to, they're saying Sarnetta, stop talking like that to the police. Because according to the shit that they saying, if you send them Sarnetta tape, they're gonna turn on them. Facts?
Facts.
Facts?
Facts.
Would they trade on you and send you to the fucking wolves?
Hell yeah.
So what does that make them?
You already know.
Huh? Okay. So you can't defend that. That's not defendable. So these niggas are suffering from fear. They know that if they inflict fear upon niggas, like you saw in the Nat Turner movie, when they did what? They brought everybody out so they could whoop them. They showed you that mask hanging in the movie. That whole movie is a ritual. I got to do a KT did a decoded on that. I'm gonna say that movie gets a 5. I never gave it a score. I never gave it a number, but that movie's a ritual. I got to go back and really look at that shit because it did more to trigger fear. It did more to continue the narrative of this ongoing continuum of slavery, wildness, of horror, of niggas taking L's, of subversiveness, slave pornography, black women being mammies and bed wenches. I didn't see much else. Okay, you got a little action scene. They getting busy for about 10 minutes. That wasn't enough. Okay, that wasn't enough. I like the way it was shot and some other things, but God damn it. When are we gonna see ourselves? Remember, neurocinematics, neurobiology, neuroscience. Go and study that. All right? Everybody has a brain and everybody thinks.
Yeah, I gotta love that. Okay.
Everybody, okay. Everybody has a brain and everybody thinks, right? All is mental. So why not study that? So these people, they have, remember, when they went to war with Iraq, they went to war when they did shock and awe. What was shock and awe? Shock and awe was a campaign. There was a reason why they were showing it on TV for mad hours. They were shocked and awe. So when you woke up and you saw homie Alton Sterling get popped, the minute that he got popped, you just thought it wasn't going to be a fight. You didn't know that they was going to body him.
Right.
You thought that the camera was going to fall because the first film that we saw, they was like in the car exhibiting fight or flight. Fight or flight. That's also in the flow. That's also in the flow matrix about the fight or flight. They're studying the brain. Shout out to Delbert Blair. And he talked about the 4 Fs. Fight, fuck, fornicate. No, fight, flight, fornicate, or something else. So you thought that they was gonna drop the phone, but then they showed them get popped. That's shock and awe. They said that the mission was to capture the hearts and minds of the people. What happens when you capture the hearts and the minds of anybody who is a subject? What happens in a world of psychological warfare? Because a psyops is a psychological war. Remember, they're not going to war with us physically, not yet. Okay, they're preparing for that. They're culling niggas. They've been culling you through this quiet war with this silent war with these quiet weapons. They're utilizing the cinema, or they're utilizing media, and they're utilizing the music, and they're utilizing the GMO, and they're utilizing the vaccinations, and they're utilizing the cancer, and they're utilizing the AIDS, and they're utilizing the miseducation, and they're utilizing a lot of things to dumb you down. When they dumb you down, they compromise your chromosome makeup, your genetical makeup, your gene pool. Remember, they cracked the genome code. They're playing on different levels, nigga. It's levels to this shit.
But hold
okay?
on, man,
there's levels to it.
All right. Yo, but this right here, like you going into the to the clones and to the levels of all this DNA and all this shit, red pill. I am so happy that I have finished my baby making days. I am no longer making children. I am no longer.
You ain't on your Sabi?
No, listen, man. I'm not on the Sabi. I'm no longer putting that seed and fertilizing that egg, goddammit. Because in this goddamn day and time, Red Pill, I'm gonna keep it real. I was nervous as a motherfucker when my children was coming out because there's this white man, he is on a level that is so higher than us right now. This motherfucker knows how to turn the boy into a girl and how to turn the girl into a boy. I am not having any more. My baby making days is over, bro.
Yes.
So I'm telling you, young ones out there, you better know what the hell you're doing. Get on that baby Dr. Sabi diet right now. Try not, if you could, to not have these babies in the hospital. Don't be getting them motherfucking shots, them vaccination shots. Something is going down. So really, Red Pill, that's what I want to say to you. And I want y'all to really hear me under the sound of my voice. When we look at the homosexual, when we look at the lesbian, why are we really mad at them, Red Pill? This is what I want to say this to you. Yes, of course, we forbid that lifestyle. We condemn that lifestyle. But why the fuck are we really mad at the homosexual instead of mad at the one who fucking created him? Because something is going on in them hospitals. You know, something is going on. So why get mad at the victim? They the fucking victims now. As we get older, as I'm getting older, I'm looking at this shit through my third eye lens, the first eye lens.
Facts.
The first eye lens. Something is going on with our children. We know that that's not us. So this motherfucker is creating these motherfucking zombies. He's taking the gene, taking out fucking
gender bender.
Gender bender.
Utilizing.
So we really got to get a hold of what's really going on, man. I'm done with the baby making shit. And my daughter and my son, all I can do is say, oh,
thank God.
Oh, man, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you having babies.
That's every parent's fear these days.
You having children now?
Yeah.
I don't know if the motherfucker these motherfuckers coming out with broken wrists, don't know if they boy or girl. I mean.
Well, it goes back to what I'm sharing with you something about a silent weapon in a quiet war that was launched upon our people, but our people don't want to have that conversation, or they don't want to admit to it, or those who help perpetuate it and encourage it, they're not basically helping anything to fix that. Today was a very interesting day, and it's interesting that you bring that up. I'm on my way to the barbershop in the Bronx. Somebody says, I got my headphones on, I'm listening to the Scorpion King, and I see a sister walking towards me. Now, the sister, upon contact, when I see her, I notice that she's an AG. What's an AG? An AG is an aggressive. And I don't want to say it like if I see any woman who doesn't look feminine, that she's an AG. It's not like, but I know what I'm looking at these days. I've seen it enough that I could basically tell what's what. All right, that's a skill that you get from standing on 125th Street, 10 years, and people scrolling. I've been able to categorize in my mind all kind of phenotypes, energies, frequencies. I got that. So I turned my music down. She said, red pill or blue pill? Red pill. Red pill, I watch all your videos. I love what you're talking about. Matter of fact, I love you, man. You know what I mean? I just wanted to say that. I know that she said, everything that you and Salim is doing, y'all don't know how important it is. I don't think y'all realize it, but y'all touching people in a way that you wouldn't imagine. Then I said, what's your name? She looked around, she looked down, and she said, Stephanie. She was like, you know what? Yeah, Stephanie. I'm not going to say my other name, and I know that you don't like us. Then I stopped her. I said, don't say that, Stephanie. If I didn't like y'all, we wouldn't have this conversation. You know that it's not about like. I'm not approaching anything with likes. This is not Facebook. It's not about not like y'all.
Right.
I don't, it's not that I walk around.
I don't appreciate it, but.
I said, when we speak to the people, of, you know, that are going through, that are part of that community or a part of that movement, we're speaking to them with love. So how could we not like somebody? Because when we speak about it, we speak about what? Like you said, the roots, the problem. We speak about the opportunity to utilize the information for a purpose to do what? A purpose to either take yourself and change yourself, take yourself and apply the information. We're not judging. Yeah.
Remember, Red Pill? I'm going to see if you remember what really made me think about what I just said about as far as the lesbians and the homosexuals out there. Remember when them young girls in the summertime,
I remember that.
They came in front of us and we started building. And next thing you know, I'm looking at some fucking lesbians, right? And I'm like, hold up, I just went off on them. I blew up.
That's unreleased. That's part of that Too Hot for YouTube footage.
Yeah, yo, I never even put it up.
I remember.
I was like,
it's about 100. It's about 100 hours of some unreleased shit you got hiding somewhere.
Behind that, I lit into her so bad. It was like she wasn't even the reason for that. It was behind her being that she became a lesbian. Yo, she broke down, cried, walked away, and I went to you, Red Pill, and I said, damn, I don't know if I did that shit right. I said, next time you remember?
I remember.
I said, yo, I gotta handle this.
I seen it the other day.
Because these are our people.
Look.
And hold up, I said to you, Red, I said, yo, these are our people, whether we agree with their lifestyle or not. But I beat that young girl ass so bad that she walked away from me with tears in her eyes. And she thought about her family and I said, damn, Red Pill, I don't know if I did that right.
Let's fix
redo this.
Let me help you with that story.
Yeah.
You didn't break down on her for being a lesbian because they were not all lesbians. Remember that. They were young women who were pro-homosexual. Right? You asked her if she had a son and if he was a homosexual, would she turn on him? And she said no. And that's when you went in. It wasn't about her being a homosexual.
Would you condemn it?
Would you condemn it? She said no. So I saw her. This is the follow-up. This is how the ancestors work it. She was walking with a guy the other day, holding hands on 2/5. That's what I saw her. She looks indigenous. I'll show the video one day. But this is what the sister said, because I have to finish the story. She began talking about Ron Savage. She began talking about Poppy. You understand? That's when I understood what was going on. This is something that I had to come to an understanding in my research, in my field research, in my case studies, in my growth, in my evolution. We have a large percentage. What is it about me that I keep meeting women who've been molested? What is it? What am I attracting?
That's right.
What is it about me if I want to make it about me? And I'm not even talking about her. I'm talking about my personal relationships. Who the fuck are these men? Where do they come from and where are they hiding at? The sister said, see, damn, I'm sorry, sister, but I hope I'm not putting your information out there, but I want to protect her identity.
Yeah, you can talk.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't see it.
She said that she was molested as a youth. You understand? At around 8.
Damn.
She was prevented from blossoming into the flower that she was supposed to be. When you study biology and chemistry, you could give this information to anybody unapologetically and without hatred, and you could just be straight up with it. Look, chemically, biologically, there's some nuclear fallout to the shit that these evil geniuses, because remember, we're dealing with evil geniuses and scientists. You talk about Yaqub not giving the credit that them niggas fucking multiplied. He didn't die, he multiplied. All of them are the whole Nazi party, neo-Nazi party regime. That whole war cabal was built on top of scientists. The eugenics whole program was built on top of the scientists and the engineers inside of their community. Everything that they're doing, the whole AIDS and the crack was cooked up in a fucking lab. You have to be a scientist, an alchemist. So they're utilizing the arts and the sciences against us. On some Dick Gregory, Come on. So Why is the scientists in the community not activating and utilizing? Where are the fucking artisans at? Utilizing their artistical powers to fight this bitch. And what are these niggas doing? Hands up, don't shoot. These niggas took group selfies, lie down and do a die-in. Black Lives Matter, even though they supposed to know that that's a fucking op, that's COINTELPRO. And all of these other things, these Negroes, these groveling Negroes, these Negroes are influenced, they're influencing. These are the influencers. So it's by any means necessary that you influence the influencers. You slide up on that nigga and you influence him. What are you doing? Come on, man. Come on, son.
All right.
You slide up on them and you program these niggas.
So close out.
You God.
Let them know
huh?
Gonna be.
You hire. Hold on. The rappers listen to us. And we listen to them. The rappers listen. We the influencers of them.
Right. Facts.
Come on. So.
Not no fucking Floyd Mayweather. Because Floyd Mayweather got millions of fucking dollars.
No.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Let's keep it real. Let's go in on that. What is your take on Floyd fucking Mayweather? And we love Floyd Mayweather. I always went with Floyd Mayweather. Whenever he was going and getting in that fucking ring, I was with my man Floyd Mayweather. But when you open your fucking mouth and the cameras is on you and they ask you about Black Lives Matter and you talk that stupid shit, I gotta go against that. I don't give a fuck how much you make.
I identified without because I'm not about any kind of, I ain't with the controversy. I just identified the fact that there's a war on us. I've just pointed it out on multiple levels, and I'm not even, this shit ain't even visual. Like this is a lecture that I'll be doing in Baltimore, I think on November 19th. Shout out to B-More. Shout out to the B-More family. Yo. On Saturday, November 19th, we'll be doing Fear of a Black and More Messiah, the part 2, where we're going to be dealing with this whole hip-hop thing, the state of hip-hop 2016 to 2020, because fuck Hillary and Clinton, fuck Hillary and Trump. What about our 4-year campaign? Which one of us is campaigning? You niggas are arguing about which one and which cracker to elect to run you niggas. And you can't talk to me. I don't want to have no conversation with these niggas. There's nothing to talk about. Why we not talking about governing ourselves? Why we not working on our governmental? Why we not working on our community? Why we not working on building? What the fuck? What's our 4-year plan for the nation? You niggas sitting around and waiting for the Clinton administration? Well, then you're gonna basically suffer the fate of what it is they got in store for you, because I just shared with you, there are multiple assaults taking place right now. The power of the now is that these niggas have a war, a soft war against the people. So anybody from our community, you have to, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So ignorance of history is no excuse. So ignorance of knowledge is no excuse. So ignorance of, I'm sure Floyd Mayweather got enlightened by Polite before. I'm sure when he was watching those videos, he got enlightened towards, I'm sure when he watched The Breakfast Club, he understood, this brother know what he's talking about. These crackers ain't shit. So once you can determine that, you can't cast such a word as all. All means everyone is exonerated. All means that nobody gets this fucking work. All means nobody in a place of the, because just being rich don't mean that you're smart. That's the shit that hip hop. That's the whole. When the Jews came in, I didn't even get to touch on how the Jews co-opted the God hop of the 80s. Through the accountants, Russell Simmons lining up with Rick Rubin, going over to Jerry Heller over in the 90s, coming back to Lyle Cohen, Philip Muhammad's book.
I forgot, it's about the hip hop shit.
Yeah, go and get Philip Muhammad's book on hip hop. That book will give you everything, not everything, but it'll give you some of the keys that you need. So they co-opted the message and the frequency and a bunch of other things. It's not, you could put the blame on the rappers. Yeah, they're part and parcel, but who are the people signing the checks? Who are the loan officers? Who are the people? Remember, you vote with your dollar. So they were signing Cash Money to $30 million when around the time when Master P was popping with his independent swag. Master P was running with the Black Independence distribution. How the fuck you niggas sell cocaine but you can't distribute albums? How you niggas, why do you need labels? Why would you sign to a label? So signing to a label means that you're a contractual slave, meaning that you can't even do anything against the system, meaning that you're so tied into the system based on contracts that you're a fucking slave. So people like a Floyd Mayweather his hands are tied. He has no, I just watched Charles Barkley, all of them. I just watched Jim Brown. I just watched the other dudes at a Cleveland Cavaliers opener inside of Cleveland where they killed Tamir Rice, where they did some other foul shit, where they shot the man and his wife about 300 times. I watched them say on TV yesterday that we need to stop talking bad about the police. We need to listen to the police. We need to listen to what they got to say. We need to abide by the rules. All of these things. You had Lil Wayne, a nigga who married another man in jail, a motherfucker who went ahead and put 300 mixtapes out to tell your people how to kill themselves, how to sell drugs.
You just said some stupid shit just now, man.
Go and Google. Go and Google.
Married a man in jail. What the fuck is you talking about?
Go and Google it right now. Take this water break. Let me take a water break. I need a smoke break.
God damn.
Lil Wayne married another inmate on Rikers Island, the same place that I told you where I was at when I was 16. Lil Wayne went and did a bid for a burner there. Lil Wayne is very interested in this whole paradigm. Lil Wayne is an archetype unlike any other. When it comes to this paradigm, when you want to talk about Young Thug or Young M.A., you got to look at Lil Wayne. We're dealing with archetypes. Remember, Biggie is an archetype. Tupac is an archetype. Lil Wayne is an archetype. Let me show you some notes. Hold on.
The dumbest motherfucking rappers out there, though.
No, but you got to do the knowledge on Lil Wayne. You got to do the knowledge. Lil Wayne, there's eras of Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne represents the youth culture. Lil Wayne is almost, when there's like a pyramid, he represents a lot of different he represents a lot of different waves and whatnot. One of the waves that he introduced was the rock star wave. The rock star wave or the punk rock wave is what is known as aesthetic nihilism. Aesthetic nihilism is the fact that these punk rockers in their inception were dealing with the fact that these were Europeans born who didn't want to live. Okay, at the core of their whole punk rock movement, death metal, heavy metal, and everything was crackers telling you niggas, telling themselves to commit suicide, coming up with reasons not to really live on this planet. Whereas when hip hop came out in its golden era, they were encouraging people to live their life to the highest and to the fullest. Okay, before it got co-opted. So sipping lean, right? The tight jeans, wearing jeggings, the tight jeans, all of the body tats. They said that was emulating Tupac. It might have started out like that, but he was emulating the rock and rollers. He did what? He started rocking the Bapesters after he went through the Soldier Rag in the Jabot era. He started going into the Bapester era, skateboard P and all of that with the Bapester thing, the Japanese fashion, the clothing, the Red Monkeys and all that. Then he went into his rock and roll skinny jean phase. You know what I'm saying? He's an influencer. He's a mass influencer. Out of that energy comes Soulja Boy. Okay? Many different artists who are influenced. One of his biggest clones, or it's like in the Matrix when they made 6 Neos, one of his clones would be a Soulja Boy. They have different, he went and took one of his flows. Remember the flow. So Young Thugger, as much as people don't like the way that he dressed and they hate him, there's a flow that he possesses that has your children and other people in a fucking trance. His flute, his sword, his shit is like an instrument. Okay, so he went ahead and took Wayne's flow and ran with it. But then you got Wiz Khalifa, who also comes about, and he's very much intricately tied to that Lil Wayne meme. It's a meme. It's an archetype. Okay, so they encouraged a lot of people to get into the rock star lifestyle. White Boy Wasted. You remember rock star wasted, light white boy wasted. So now that began to usher in the pill popping, the X, the Molly. Then it got into the lean. Then it got into the lean. Then the lean got into the, Then the lean got into the heroin. Then the heroin got into the Xannies. Then the Xannies got into the Mollies and all of these other things. It's a perpetual cycle. It just devolves more. It gets more darker and darker the more it devolves.
You know, I never heard of Young M.A. until you and Black Dot.
She got the game.
Until you and Black Dot sat up here the other day and y'all said something about M.A. And Dot said, yo, that's one of them. She's bad. She got bars. So I said, well, who the fuck is this Young M.A.?
Yeah.
So I went on there to check it out. And I said,
how many million hits?
Oh, man.
How many million?
Her fucking YouTube is crazy.
How many million? What her YouTube check looking like?
Oh, my God. Yo, listen.
She had about 50 million.
But see, this is what I mean about they got the masses of our youth. This is why we got to get to their ass. How the fuck you ain't get the Young M.A. yet? And she right there in Brooklyn, bro. Mm-hmm. We got to get to him. Mm-hmm. We got to get to him. But, yo, man, see, all that shit there.
I mean,
then when I
it's like I said.
Hold on. When I heard her lyrics, I said, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is he doing?
It's the manifestation of the deaf culture. Like I said, after if Lil Wayne exists, Young M.A. exists. What's going on with Lil Wayne and Birdman right now? Not even that. The fact that the picture came out where he had another man kissing him. What did that create? Little B. Okay? That created Young Thug. Okay? That created this whole wave with young black men who were thugged out. Body tats, locks, all of these other things, shooting choppers and everything. These niggas is homos. Okay? They girly men. Or they very effeminate. Or they're not real men, they're not alphas. Or what we would call Hannibal Barker types. You know, they're not tapping into a certain kind of testosterone that the creed and the pedigree and the stock of what we call real niggas, right, possess. Or thug life, the hate you give little infants fucks everyone's. With niggas never ignorant getting goals accomplished. Because remember, Tupac brought an archetype. Remember, Lil Wayne tried a little bit to play with that, but we know that that's not Pac. But he did try to come in with a little bit of that Pac energy, but so many things have come out of that whole Lil Wayne thing. But we'll get into that when we go into the lecture further up. But to wrap it up, remember, the core of his thing is trauma. The core of his thing is molestation. The core of his thing is isolation. He was traumatized. He was shot at 12. He said that a woman raped him when he was young in front of all the cash money. He was on the road. Rabbit died. He said he lost Rabbit. He lost Rabbit, his stepfather. He was traumatized. So he represented a certain kind of energy. People are drawn to that. People are attracted to that. People are related to that. People buy into that. That's the Pied Piper effect. Okay? That's the Pied Piper effect. He's responsible for bringing forth Drake. He's responsible for bringing forth Nicki Minaj. He's responsible for bringing forth Tyga. He's responsible for a lot of shit. All right? And he said on TV in front of the world that he's never had a racist experience. That's what he said. Yeah. And he said in his memoir that he married a man inside of jail, 2 men inside of Rikers Island.
He said that?
It's in his memoir. He wrote it. Oh. I put that. If anybody, I need a few dollars. If any of you niggas want to bet me some bread, throw it up. Okay, I got you. I'll double it. You know, that's an easy one right there. That's what he said. So these are your heroes. This is what we're dealing with. So all of these things are intricately related to the universe. It's called hip hop. This is the knowledge aspect of talking to you. This is something that's been missing. The knowledge, the 5 pillars is what? Dance. Niggas are dancing right now. They merely rocking in nay. Graffiti. People are still doing their thing. Okay. MCing. Everybody's rapping. Everybody's spitting. DJing. They took that and they ran with it. It's global now. White boys. What's the electronic music? What's that movement with the electronic music? EDM, the EDM movement with DJ Calvin and all of them, multiple millions. So that has prospered and that has grown. And then there's that fifth pillar called culture or called knowledge. Where's it at? It's right here. That's the community. That's us. That's you. That's the people around the world that's waking up. Because I'm getting phone calls. I was just on the phone in Colombia last night. Pablo, okay? I was on the phone with conscious community in Colombia. So this is everywhere. This conscious community in the Bahamas. Shout out to Nati Congo. We going to the Bahamas. We going to Jamaica. There's conscious communities everywhere. And they watching if you look at the analytics behind all of these videos, it's global. I'm looking at the analytics. I'm looking at the metrics of all of these videos. It's everywhere around the world. So we have a global movement right now. The internet is here. I'm going to end with the solution because we're going to take this, like I said, into a lecture. We're going to be live streaming the lecture in Baltimore. And we invite the family from the DMV in New York to come out November 19th. Come out to October 34th, Halloween 16th at Nicholas with my brother Blue Pill. He's doing the blood monologues, and we're going to pop that off. Then on December 18th is going to be the debate with Pharaoh Seti and the Amin Ra squad. But what I'm saying is this, that we live in this era, consciousness is back. Life is a cycle, it's not centrifugal, it doesn't go on a line, it goes centrifugally, meaning that it comes back around. It's here now. The only thing that these niggas are not doing to mimic the 80 is walking in the street 80 deep. And putting hands on white folks. That's the only thing that they're not doing. They emulating everything else. These niggas are breakdancing, they wearing flat tops, all of these other things. They're wearing tight jeans. You know what I mean? It's almost like 2 or 3 eras of folding on top of each other. Because the 90s is here. A lot of niggas is trying to wear polo. They doing their best red pill rendition. I could show you a whole photo book. Yeah, we really did that. Not the carbon copy. Niggas no, I'm claiming pioneer status. I'm a trendsetter from that era. You feel me? That's why this shit is so real. So what we're saying is, we're in an era now where it's come back around. We control our industries now. Direct to market. You don't have to sign to a label. You don't have to sign to a contract. You don't have to be owned by a Jew. You don't have to say what they want you to say. You don't have to fucking be a humanitarian at a time where there's a war on black people.
Tell them, look at
you understand?
Yeah, say what the fuck
exactly. You don't not have black media, because tomorrow, if 1% of the actors, if 1% of the athletes, if 1% of the entertainers, if 1% of the people with all of the letters behind their name, if 1% of my brothers and sisters on Wall Street, if 1% of everyone that's watching the platforms, plural. Because if we relegate it and minimize ourselves and utilize Eurocentric thinking and fragment ourselves, we doing the white man's work, man. We ain't no better than him. I'm talking about the whole. I'm talking about Voltron. I'm talking about KTL, Baba TV, Sinetta TV, HOK, Underground Railroad, Hip Hop is Real, all of these platforms. I'm talking about black media. If 1% woke up and was like, yo, we want to change, we want to be a part of history, this whole shit could change tomorrow. Okay?
And with that, family.
All right, love and light. Check us out, favorblackamoremessiah.com, kingscounty.bigcartel.com, kingscounty with an S.com, no big cartel for the other site, kingscounty with an S.com. All right? We got pieces, right? Everybody, we shipping orders out. We have been very, very, very backlogged. You know what I mean? It's been crazy. We're looking for more manufacturers. We're looking for distribution centers, people to step up with silk screening. We need assistance. We need everybody hands on deck to assist in the growing, in the maturing, in the growth and development. I'm not afraid to fail forward. Okay, I'm a lean investor. That's what we do. A lean entrepreneur. You're used to failing forward and learning and building as you go along. That's what consciousness is. That's what the path of know thyself is. That's what we're here to do. Okay, I'm not in front of you like I'm perfect. I'm infallible. I am the motherfucking Suicide Squad. You know what I mean? Or what's the shit that they came out? That was my movie too, with comedian in them. No, yeah, we the part of the Drop Squad, but the movie that came out was very powerful. That we got to do a decoding on that. The comedian was in it. The dude with the things on his face was in it. The dude that was dressed up comedically with it, Mr. Manhattan was in it.
Well, the people gonna know.
Yeah, they're gonna put it in a thing. What they saying?
Watchmen?
Watchmen. The Watchmen. The Watchmen. Yo, we gotta decode the Watchmen. The Watchmen is about the consciousness right now. Go and watch the Watchmen and apply the Joker to these Joker goofy ass niggas. Apply Mr. Manhattan to certain other people. Okay? Apply my dude who was going around bodying other people as Cypher in the Matrix, the agents.
Hold on.
We are relaunching our channel, KTL Empowerment. That's gonna deal with cloth talk. That's going to deal with all kind of things dealing with empowerment, meaning upliftment. And then my other page, Know the Ledge TV under Phil T. Moreland.
Red Pill Backdrop is coming next here in the chat.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Yes. And I'm actually going to, when that comes, that's when we're going to launch our stuff. That's when we're going to resurrect the platform. And November 13th, we will be celebrating our birthday in Atlanta, in Buckhead, at a place called Life and Love. Hold on. I'm going to get the name for you right now. All right. The day after the Black Power Awards. Okay. We're going to be celebrating our 41-year sun cycle, me and Blue Pill. And it's also open up to our Scorpios. So we're going to be debuting the Scorpio King album, which drops 11/11 on twinpillars.bandcamp.com. We're going to have a Facts Initiative update because all kind of things are popping in that realm. We're also going to review our monumental year that both me and Blue Pill and KT the Arch Degree, who we all Scorpions, we're going to review that, and we're going to pay homage to our Mama Pill, who also had a monumental year, and we suffered some losses and things of that nature, but it's time to celebrate. See you at the Black Power Awards, November the 12th, and then I'll see you in B-More, November the 19th, and I'm also going to be in Miami on my birthday as well. Shout out to the family out there. Salute to everybody. Love and light, you know what I mean?
And we out.
Peace.
Side to bring the heat to you. Real rap, hip hop, news media, the traps and the mission, the Black Power visions. It's time to separate the facts from the fiction, the real connections, the lies and the deceptions, dealing with reality and not the perceptions. We still in the back blocks with killers and have-nots. Listen to the bills with the pills and the black out the storm. It was all a dream. You know the song. A touch of green fire. Now we strap with the bomb. Straight face. If I ain't talking real, I'm probably quiet. Cause silence is a weapon. I don't give up my power. In the chambers of the back of the course, they make arrangements. The men's with the friends in the United Nations. Briefcases with the lottery cash. Get a policy passed. Dead kings, no equality math. We the force that they fear in the sky, but in the flesh. But not in the media, the devil's a lie. That's between us. I never build platforms for the dreamers. Prokofiev knock hoods down to build arenas. Education and regentrification, the temptations. The flashes in the pan and the sensations. I'm making sure my legacy is ending in greatness. And once the shit leave, you can never replace it. Can't stop us. To the crabs and the coppers, even had the lust to put the cameras in the box up. Every time it's fire like
1 2 1 2. Peace and Black Power family. You know what it is. Welcome to another Sarnetta TV House of Consciousness production. And this video will be going straight to the hip hop channel. So family, this is going to be on hip hop. And let me see, what's the title we gave it? Red Pill, the state of hip hop 2016 into 2017. So you already know it's a lot going on. We pushing for the van. We want to make sure we have that van by next year. So family, we're going to have to do what we got to do. You already see the cameras and everything is loading up on 125th Street. Get our ass off the street. Let us come into your hood. Let us come into your town and link up with y'all, man. Shit, we can spend all day in Boston, all day in Syracuse, all day wherever. You know what I'm saying? We want to get out there with y'all, man. So that's what it's all about. And just link up and build with the people. So without any further ado, I bring to you my man, my motherfucking comrade, the Red Pill. Peace, Red. Let's go in.
Peace to the family. Peace and Black Power. Islam, Hotep, Shalom. Your brother Red Pill in the building. Honored to be here. We are going to have a conversation tonight. All right, we're going to have a good conversation tonight. This conversation is actually a precursor to a bigger conversation or a bigger narrative that we're going to be having as a collective, not just me, but also with the comrades, and it'll also be a visual presentation. But we find ourselves in a very precarious time in 2016 during this election year, 4 years before 2020, okay? And we're beginning to see the rise in consciousness, all right? Like the brother Sarnetta was just saying to the family about the news van and the importance of not existing as Black media only in cyberspace, or not existing in Black media in private or as a secret, like this is some kind of secret society, but existing as Black media on a public stage, existing in Black media unapologetically, existing in Black media in the faces of all of our people, whether it be the entertainers, whether it be the corporate America, whether it be brothers and sisters just walking up and down the street looking for a way to make a living. It's very important that they see the presence of individuals or entities, corporations, corporate entities in their neighborhoods, actual brands in not only their neighborhood, but in other neighborhoods, representing consciousness, representing knowledge. The reason why we're naming this the state of hip hop in 2016 is because we're on a hip hop channel. We're doing news for the hip hop generation. We're speaking to the culture of hip hop, meaning that we're having a non-denominational, non-color, you know what I'm saying? Non-nationality, non-denominational. We're speaking to so many people because we know that the world identifies with hip hop, not just people in our hood who, you know, we playing tapes when our parents go to sleep, you know what I mean? Sneaking to play certain kind of music like we actually had to do, some of us, when this culture known as hip hop was coming forward, similar to how this culture of consciousness is coming forward right now. You got people who are ridiculing what is known as consciousness or knowledge simply, okay? Because there's 5 pillars in hip hop. Knowledge is one of them. We're gonna get on that. So you got people who can't even listen to Black News 102 in their house, because this is deemed as ignorant, subversive. This is deemed as, you know, a fad, similar to what hip hop was. You see the similarities? When the culture of hip hop was introduced in the late 70s or the mid 70s, New York City, as we know it, the way that it looks right now, it didn't look like that. The way that New York City was looking was very darker. It was very much more destitute or dystopian than how you see it right now. It was actually one of the worst places in America, according to their records. One of the presidents, I believe it was Nixon or Carter, was driving through the Bronx. He had a chauffeur, they had a motorcade. He had to stop the motorcade and get out and look around and say, where am I?
Right.
I didn't know that we had an assault. I didn't know that we had a campaign within the borders of the United States of America. But keep in mind what comes out later on, and go see the documentary 13 that's on Netflix. Richard Nixon declared real war on the poor,